Campbell Scientific one more time with another short video on troubleshooting if you ever have any problems. Today we're going to be troubleshooting if the sampler will not pull a sample into the meter chamber. If that happens, the first thing that you want to do is you're going to push the manual sample two times to turn that on. And what we're going to check for first is watch and see if the pinch valve is closing completely and if it's pinching off that hose tight to be able to create the vacuum. Then you can put your finger just over the end of the tubing, and if it's pushing air as it purges out, you should be able to hear that, and if you don't push it real tight, it'll blow your finger off. And then when it switches to vacuum, you'll be able to feel that suction at that point. So we're going to just show that very quickly. So if you can hear that, you can hear it blowing some air past my finger. And then it switches to a vacuum and it pulls my finger pretty good. And so that tells us that there are no leaks, it's pulling a vacuum. If it doesn't pull a sample at this point, I would be suspect of the hose, the intake hose being plugged, and you would want to check that next. If you have other problems and it still won't pull a sample, we're going to just push restart twice to turn that off. Check your intake hose back here, the blue 1/4 inch line. It goes back into the vacuum pump behind here. Make sure that your wing nuts and everything are fastened down securely. The other thing to check for is to see if underneath the lid right here on the meter chamber cover there is an O-ring, and we want to see if that O-ring is broken, if it's been squished down too tight by twisting these wing nuts down too far. If that's the case, it can squish that out and actually cause it to some damage. So we just want to check that very quickly. This is also how you pull it apart, just to clean it very quickly, and makes it very simple to take this and clean the conductivity rod where water has to make contact between these two and be able to switch from purge to vacuum. Here is the O-ring that we're discussing right here. So if that O-ring is broken or cracked, you need to check that and to see if there's any issues with that. If so, then you'd want to replace that. If not there, then we can just throw this back together and just make sure that everything is tightened down securely. It's one of the beauties of this sampler with the vacuum sampler is that unlike with the peristaltic pump system, you're having to replace tubing all the time. Yes, it takes a few seconds to take this off and you have to clean it periodically depending on what you're sampling, but very quick and easy to be able to do that. Just tighten that back down and then you can retest. And what we're going to do now is we're going to put a vacuum gauge on here so that you can actually see what the pressure is on the purge and what the vacuum, how much vacuum it creates. So with that set, let's take a look here. When it goes to vacuum or to purge, first of all, it's pushing pressure. You can see on there that it's going up to 30, 32 psi, and when it switches to the vacuum side, now it's pulling up to, and this is a brand new pump of course, it will pull up to almost 22 inches of mercury on the vacuum side, and that's what you would expect. Anything above 12 on the mercury, on the inches mercury, would be sufficient to be able to pull a vacuum and to be able to pull a sample. And so what it's done is it's gone through one purge, a vacuum, and now it's purging once again, switching back to vacuum because it isn't pulling any water, and it's saying, hey, we're not getting any water here, so let's keep trying. So that's what you should see for your vacuum and your purge pressures on that. If not, if that doesn't solve the problem, then I would look at the pump behind, and we'll show that in another video.